Pat, I am so looking forward to this conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you having me. I look
It-
forward to it.
It's going to be so fun. So let's dive right in. I would love to know, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
Oh, yes to myself. I say yes to myself every day.
I
I'm
love
a
that
woman
about
in a
you.
man's world. I say I get up every day, positive affirmation. I can do this. What do we got in store for today? Yes, I can get it done. So I always go, what do we got today? So I
That's
I
amazing.
I give myself positive affirmations every day because I'm in construction, as you know. So, construction is like life. Nothing is easy. There's problems, issues every day. So, I give myself a break once in a while that I can't solve everyone's problems, but I do my best at keeping clients happy. So I give myself some positive affirmations and say, you did a pretty good job. I'm keeping everybody happy.
That's
So,
so interesting.
uh,
How are you balancing that when like we were just talking a little bit before I hit record about manifesting and about setting these intentions and about, speaking about how we want things to be and
right.
moving toward that.
Well, I'm a
So,
big,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I'm a positive person. My life kind of threw me curveballs, and in order for me to get out of the hole, I had to do that. So you could either stay negative and be the victim, or you can stay positive and try to do the best you can with what you got. So I'm a huge manifestor believer, I believe if you tell yourself you're successful and you're already successful and you can do it, you can do it. You can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. So I'm a big, big fan of that. And it helps me get along. Nothing's perfect. Like I said, there's going to be positives and negatives and failures. And I like to take my failures as a challenge and see how I can do it better next time. I had a conversation with someone the other day about how sometimes the best job you ever got was the one you lost and you learn from it. But you shouldn't find yourself in an emotional state, especially with business, where you allow yourself to be disappointed, but you can't define you. There's a reason why you didn't get the job, and sometimes it turns out better than you ever thought.
Certainly. I mean, it's
Yep,
just feedback,
yep,
right? When we
yep,
know what we don't want, we're just fine tuning what we do want, and then we
right,
can move into that direction.
right. And a lot of times you didn't do anything wrong. It's just they wanted to use the person they wanted to use. And, in circling back, sometimes they call you back because the people they picked didn't really do a good job. I got that going on right now, you know?
Oh, say more.
Yeah. I lost a job in November. I've been very competitive, more competitive than I know the guy who got the job because he was 2 hours away from the project. I don't
Mm.
see how anybody can be that competitive than a local guy, but it is what it is. I said, all right, no problem. Good luck. I continued to bid with them. They wound up giving me a different job. And then the guy that I lost the job to on the other project kind of walked away, didn't get the job. They were behind 4 months, and they asked me, and the project manager goes, "Oh my God, you did not ask her to help you on the job you didn't give her." And he goes, "Yeah, I did." And she did good. So, you know, I'm a big I that's how I run my company, actually. I'm a big rescuer. I call them rescue jobs. There's opportunities to take advantage of people, but I do not. I never do that. So I create relationships and I look for a future building each other up. So if I help them get out of a hole, they're going to remember who helped them.
That's right.
That's right. So I did. I obliged them. I put men down there, and hopefully we're going to get them that job opened in the next couple of weeks instead of the next couple of months. So
Oh, that's so great.
and in
So,
turn, I
yeah,
got
go ahead.
four more jobs
Of course you did.
from that guy because he's like, you reacted, you actually did the work, you got it done, you helped me, and he's like, you're just amazing, right? So I don't like to be called amazing, but
Oh, I do.
I dug in. I know, but I don't like to be like that. I'm just doing my job.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't give myself enough credit for that because I
For
enjoy.
sure you don't.
Yeah,
Because I think just even the word just, I'm just doing my job.
correct. You're
I
right.
know I'm an expert in my field. I know what I'm doing. I bid out of my knowledge and experience and what I know I'm capable of. I bid competitively, but I don't underbid because
Right.
I want to do a good job and I'm not your mom. So I'm not going to pay for your job. Like I'm going
Right.
to do
No,
the
I mean,
job. So you get to own the accolades as well as owning the rescuing
right,
that you're doing. Because if there's a way that we are not, we're shielding ourselves, or we
right.
sometimes, not saying you're
Yeah.
doing this, but we sometimes can call that being humble, but it's just, we just get to say thank you. And I
Right.
receive, I'm so glad that was your experience. I'm so thrilled that you're happy.
Yeah,
It's,
that's what I
it's, you
told him. I
know,
said, look, I'm glad I helped you out. He told me straight out, he goes, a lot of people would have gouged me. I actually give him a discounted rate on my rate because I knew he needed a lot of work done. So I came in a little bit lower than my normal rate because I'm not a big fan of taking advantage of people in a bad situation because I was in a bad situation. I had to rebuild my life. I tell about that story in my book. So I was always the underdog, especially rebuilding my life in the commercial construction world after my husband died, and people took chances on me. So I kind of gravitate my business model into helping the underdogs because I believe in people and their future growth. And I like to grow with people. There's nothing more fulfilling than helping somebody when they're at their low point, in need of help, and then 5 years later, they're bigger than they ever were, bigger than their competitors, and you're standing there right with them, right? So
I
you
love
have
that.
a small part or a big part in helping them build themselves back up to where they need to be when they were in a bad situation. So I'm a huge fan of building my business model out of, I call it strategic patience. I give them a little
Mm.
bit, I give them a taste of what I do. I tell them what I can do. Everybody's got the same story. I talk about it all the time. I'm still a woman in a man's world. It takes a lot of trust for some of these developers to hire me for the first time. But I told them all, once you hire me, you'll always hire me because I get stuff done. I'm very, very, I'm very detail oriented. I push the job, I get it done, I get their stuff open. So it's been holding true, it's me as a person. I was the underdog. I rebuilt my life. I know what it's like to be in a bad spot. So I like to kind of carve that little niche out, as they say, and help the people that need the help without taking advantage of them. I'm not a fan of doing that. I don't take
Or underestimating or
no.
undervaluing
Right, I
what
don't do
you're
that.
bringing. Right, because
I
you
don't do
want to
that.
be the vibrational match. If
Right.
you're lowballing yourself, that's not helping you, and it's
No,
not helping them either.
no, I never lose money.
Good
Remember,
job.
I'm a woman.
Good
I
job.
I always tell them I'm a woman. I keep very good track of my money.
That's right.
But no,
That's
I'm
so
never the
good.
low bid. I don't underbid. I don't like to talk bad about any of my competitors, but
Right.
I will make comments to them if they underbid because they're doing nothing more than destroying the industry.
Mhm.
They're just setting a precedence for low numbers and contractors like myself who are never really the low, but we don't compromise quality. So you're going to get a nice solid job for a decent price. We're not high enough to retire on one, but we're not low enough to make everybody mad at us, right?
Right. And go out of business.
Yeah, eventually. I always call it the merry-go-round syndrome. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
I always say, ring around the rosy syndrome. If we all fall down, they're all going bankrupt.
Right.
They're just pushing paper around the rosy, right? But if the music stops, that's when everything falls apart because then you're upside down, right? If you keep
Hmm.
pushing paper and you're working and you're just doing it for cash flow and then everything stops at once, you're going to be upside down. And that's usually when, I don't know, recessions hit, they kind of divide themselves out. People start having problems with credit and just paying their bills, right? In general. And, 31 years this year, I'm doing it. So,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. So it's my 31st year in commercial construction. Brought companies, union companies, we have many over the years, non-union, um, 4 recessions, plus whatever was last Biden administration. We don't know what that was. But it wasn't busy for construction. We won't, I don't get into politics. I only speak numbers. So,
Yeah.
I only follow the numbers and which way I'm going. And I wasn't going to the bank the last 3 years, but 2025 is positive. It started off very well for me. Did a lot of bidding last year. Um, and so far so good. I mean, we're midway through and I'm doing okay. Thank God.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So going back 31 years,
Oh,
how do you, how why? Tell me.
ah,
What made you say yes to yourself 31 years ago and enter
oh,
this industry that is not, like you said, it's male
yeah.
dominated. So what was the drive?
So the turning point was my late husband's trade. He was a union carpenter for many years, and we were starting to have a family together. We were high school sweethearts.
Oh,
And yeah, so I'm more of a business-minded person. I had a degree in accounting and a minor in business, and he kept coming home from work and I got laid off. I got laid off. I got laid off. So when you're up against a wall and you need to make a decision, do or die, right? I said, we can't live like this. I said, obviously, you're not going to go into accounting. You're a blue collar guy. So I'll use what I know and we'll work together and we'll open a business. So I kind of morphed into his trade and he taught
yes.
me a lot over the years. I taught myself a lot over the years. Most of my learning came from suppliers. They would teach me everything about metal studs and, tensile strength and this and that. So his last layoff check, I said, we can't do this. We have kids now. We have to control something. You can't be unemployed 8 months a year and only work 4.
Yeah.
So I took $100 out of his layoff check, which was a lot. It was only in the $400 range back in
Mhm.
early 90s. And I went and got flyers and business cards made. And we went around to all the empty stores and we ground it out. And we got a call from a gym that wanted to be built, a flagship gym in New Jersey, where I am here, was Workout World. I talk about it all the time. It's been sold since then. And we went, met him. I asked him for 50% down, took the 130 grand, bought a truck, tools, came in the next day. He's like, did I just put you into business? And I go, you did, and you won't regret it. And we never
Right.
looked back. We just kept building and reinvesting into the tools because tools make you money. And we just kept reinvesting and we kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I tell the stories about how the unions started knocking on the door because we got too big for their comfort. So there's a
Hmm.
story in my book about
Can
that.
you explain that a little bit to me? Because I understand very little. I understand that there are some trades that have unions and then some that don't, but I don't know a lot about not being unionized in an industry that has. So can you explain what it
Oh,
means
sure.
when,
So,
please? Thank you.
yeah, no worries. I mean, it's a labor union. Unions were created to protect the working man and provide them with a fair and honest salary and to give them health benefits. They forgot what they were created for because over the years, the unions, especially in New Jersey, got a little heavy on top. So
Okay.
those guys were making 6 figures, getting lifetime benefits. And my personal opinion, the workers were suffering for it. They weren't getting as many uh, quality jobs. So unions are usually signatory with certain malls. So they require
Okay.
them to use union scale labor, certain developers, certain corporations, because I do a lot of corporate work, franchises. So that's what that means. If you're a union contractor, you're signatory to paying the union rate and all the benefits as a package, right? So my husband was a union carpenter. So when we started out just on the fly in the early 90s, when the markets crashed, 89, 90, I'm dating myself, everybody was jumping out the windows. I remember it. It was horrible. Wall Street really took a hit and the unions weren't really busy. So we just started a small company, like I said, with my husband's layoff check. And then as we built, they were like, "Oh, who's this RPM?" That was the name of our company, and we kept getting more and more work, so we were cutting into their work. So then they
Okay.
realized that it was my company, but my husband was involved. So they used the bribery tactic. If you don't sign and become a union contractor, we're going to take your husband's book, you're going to lose your vested pension, blah, 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 blah. You know, typical what you hear about it on in the movies. Very strong arm. It was a
Yeah.
strong arm tactic. So, and then we were for a while, and then the market crashed again, remember? Oh eight, oh
Yeah.
nine.
Hmm.
So that was when the New Jersey carpenters kind of folded up shop and went to New York, and they
Oh,
merged with them. So we really didn't have a contract, so to say, or we did, but we had to close our company anyway because three
okay.
GCs filed bankruptcy on us in a little over a week.
Oh man, I'm
Yeah, it was
sorry.
really bad. So, I'm talking to my attorney and I'm like, I have 850 credit. And he's like, well, you can't pay all these bills. If they didn't pay you, their union will take your house. If you own benefits, you're going to lose your house. So I tell the story in my book about how it all kind of came out that I was forced into it. Sometimes choices in life are made for us.
Hmm.
I was forced into closing the company because of what happened with, commercial construction is it's very dependent on the market.
Sure.
It's highly fluctuating with interest rates, developers, some of them will hold the money, they'll go after it. It's all recession, it's not recession proof, but it's all about what's going on in the markets and what's going on in finances. So we kind of didn't have a choice to tell this story. We had to close our union firm, and then we reopened Blue Diamond Construction, and we went back to our roots. We went back to where we started, and we were making very good money before. We built beautiful structures. Unions tend to do a lot of larger medical facilities,
Sure.
malls. We built malls, we built medical facilities, we built a lot of nice, nice projects. But it was just time. It was a sign of the times. And that's the difference between being signatory and having to only call out of the hall, only use their men, having to pay certain dollar amounts, having to pay the benefits. You know, by no means do I underpay my non-union guys. They get paid
Sure.
very, very well.
Sure.
They get paid very well. And I keep my administration in-house and they get benefits. So, it's just going with the times.
Right. I mean, you had that experience
Yep.
and it informed how you were going to reopen Blue Diamond. It makes sense. You don't have it just because you're not union now doesn't mean that you're taking advantage of everybody. It's like
Oh,
you gained information and you found ways that you could do it better than this other model and
right. I
still
mean,
take care of not only your employees but you, and then you are the administration of that organization. So yeah, it
yeah,
makes
I mean, I
sense. It's
tell the
just good
story.
business.
Yeah, it is good business. And, I mean, it is what it is. I have to survive. I'm a widow now. So I have to do what I have to do to pay my bills. There's nobody laying in the bed next to me. There's nobody paying my bills. So I have to survive. Talk about a survivor story. I had to go to work the day after my husband's funeral. And I
Mm.
had to rebuild my company because I was dormant for 2 years because I took care of him. He was very sick with cancer. So, it made me strong though. So I had no option. So you never know how strong you are until being strong is your only option. I had no option. I spent my life savings on trying all different, you know, um, clinical trials. You have to pay for a lot of that stuff. They only give you the drug for free. So it is what it is. It helped me grow stronger. It put me in perspective of, I was always in the back. My husband was always the face. So now I'm in the field. I lay out the jobs. So I have experience on both sides of the coin. So, I always I say it on every podcast and I'll say it on this one. My husband's death allowed me to become the woman I was destined to be
That's
because
beautiful.
it is beautiful because before he passed, he taught me how to bid. I brought drawings into the hospital. We laid them out, blueprints on the hospital bed. He taught me how to bid. He said, if you can bid it, you can build it. And he taught me all the different aspects of soffits, headers, cripple studs. We always talked about it over at the table at dinner over the years, and they never wanted to hear it. But maybe he knew something I didn't know. He taught me the industry, and he prepared me for life without him.
What a
So
gift.
it was a gift. And I always talk about he was a very selfless man in his death. He made sure that he taught me the things I didn't know about the industry in our business because I never really knew details. I knew what he did, but he taught me the details. So I said to him, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, we've been together since we're 16. What am I going to do without you? And he's like, you're going to continue to do what you do because we built this business together and you know the industry and you'll be just fine. So he
I
was right.
love him for you.
Yeah, I mean, he was a wonderful man. He's the father of my children. He's a man's man. He's a blue collar guy. He's a master carpenter. He can build anything. So, you don't realize what you pick up around people that are in your life until you don't have them anymore.
Sure.
So he taught me a lot. So that's how I wound up in construction. It chose me. So
I love that. That's such a beautiful story
it
and
is.
such a beautiful, I hope that's all on your website because
Yeah, it's all in the
people
book. It's on my website.
are you still in commercial or do you do residential
No,
construction
I
now?
don't
What do
do
you do?
any residential.
Okay.
We've always done commercial.
Mhm.
Anytime I've done residential, it was a favor for an architect or whatever, and
Sure.
no good deed just goes unpunished, right? It's
Yeah.
always a problem. So I stay in my wheelhouse. And
Mhm.
I advise a lot of younger entrepreneurs now that are getting in the industry. I said, your best asset is what you know.
Right.
Stick to what you know, because there's so much out there. These kids want to take everything. I just had a cider and a roofer get in trouble because he took a
Mm.
wood framing job. I said, what are you thinking? Well, I figured I'd just sub it out. I go, yeah, but you had problems. So what do you do when you have problems on the job if you're not experienced? You're in trouble.
Mhm.
So I helped him out of it because I knew the developer. I said, he's a good guy. He was just trying to make some money. Let's see what we can do. I can get you somebody else to come in and help him out. And I try to teach the younger generation, your strongest your strongest asset is what you know. My dad, I always talk about him, smartest man I knew. Eighth grade education. He taught himself everything. He always said you make your most money when you stick to what you know. And he's right. So
Right.
you can branch out and do everything, but if you don't really know what you're doing, it's a good chance you're going to lose a little bit of money.
Right. You will be found out for sure. The
Yeah.
reason I asked you about residential is
Okay.
because story, story is what connects people. Story is
Okay.
that's relational. And if I was on your website reading that story, I would
Mhm.
hire you because I love a story. So it's so beautiful. And I'm certain that translates commercially. I just don't
Yeah, it
own
does.
a commercial company that needs construction. But I love that you wrote the book. I want to hear more about that. But I think it's so important what you're doing is that you are taking this information and you're not just hoarding it. You are a channel where you gained information, of course, from your dad, of course, from your husband, and of course, from thousands of other relationships that you've had and
Yeah.
interactions and experiences. And you're sharing that with not only younger tradespeople, but whoever's listening to these podcasts, whoever's reading your book. It's these really gorgeous ripple effects when we say yes to ourselves and get out of our own way
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
sharing what we know, not because we want someone to look at us and like, oh, I'm an expert and you should really listen to everything I have to say. It's
Hmm.
because, no, come with me, come see what I've learned and learn from my experiences, not necessarily learn from my mistakes, but learn from my experiences. This
Absolutely.
is what I know. that universal story is what connects us. So that works in any industry, in every industry. And it's when you're like this young man you mentioned, when
Yeah.
you're trying to make up a story that isn't your story, it leads to disconnection. You're disconnected from yourself, from your purpose, and then of course the it has no option but to fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, the developer was mad at him that he misrepresented himself, but I said, come on, man. He's a kid. I said, I have a son who's older than him. I said, he's not a bad person. He's very good at roofing and siding. I said, give him a break. We'll figure it out. We'll get somebody in here, get you finished up. And we did. I helped him out. So, everybody wound up happy. So, everybody's got to calm down. It's not the end of the world. There's ways out of it if we work together. So, we're all a direct product of the decisions and experiences in our life.
Mm.
And that's very deep if you think about it. And now that I'm older and I went through a lot, I lost my mom, my brother, my father, my husband in 3 years. So
Oh,
I was out of work, broke, in debt, in and out of hospitals. Everybody's dying. I was like, what the heck's going on in my life? I felt like, everybody was just beating me with a life bat, right? But they all people, if you just take some time and figure out what's going on in your life and turn it into a positive. It's a learning experience, even if it's bad. This too shall pass. It will pass, but you have to figure out why it's happening to you and what you're supposed to learn from it.
sure. And sometimes just the rephrasing that to things are not happening to me, they're happening for
For
me.
you. That's
Hmm.
right. And I'm a firm believer in that. Hence the reason why I say that my husband's death allowed me to become the woman I was destined to be. So
Yeah.
he allowed me to move to the forefront as he faded into the back.
Hmm.
And he went on to another dimension where he is resting in peace, hopefully. I'm sure he is. But he's still with me every day.
Yep.
I ask him for guidance. If I can't figure something out, I put his glasses on.
I love that.
Sounds funny, but it works.
Who cares?
I put his glasses on. I'm like, help me figure this out. This
Yeah.
storefront is so complex, I can't figure it out. What am I missing? I put his glasses on and I'm like, oh, that's,
I love that so
yeah,
much.
it's cool, right?
It's really
Cool.
cool.
It's so cool. But it's true. Some people are like, she's a wackadoodle.
Who cares? We're
Right?
not talking to
But
them.
I'm not. It's really true. Like some of the stuff that's happened to me over the last 10 years, crazy, crazy stuff.
Love
Like
it.
crazy stuff. People would appear in front of me, sitting at a table in the hospital. Like this is crazy story if you want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
I went down to I was beat up, my husband was very sick, in and out of surgeries. I went down to the hospital cafeteria and long, long tables, right? Maybe 30, 40 feet long, and the TV's on the far wall. And I sit in the middle. All of a sudden, I turn around, there's this old man sitting there. And I go, hello. And he starts chatting with me. And he looked exactly like Clarence from It's
Oh
a
my
Wonderful
gosh.
Life.
I love it.
Swear to not lying. So I'm talking to him and he's like, you're doing a great job. Your husband really appreciates what you're doing and and it's gonna be okay. And when my wife was very sick, she's passed on now. I'm here visiting someone else. He says to me, he goes, I know that she appreciated everything that I did for her too. So I get up and I go to get a napkin. I come back and he's gone.
I love it.
Gone. Now we were in the
Totally.
middle of 40 feet, 20 feet. I didn't go that far to get a napkin. And I'm looking, I'm like, where the heck did this guy go? I'm looking all over the cafeteria. I see nothing. I went to the doorway. I looked down the corridors. Nowhere.
I love that.
I was like, all right, maybe he was sent to tell me that I'm tired because he kept saying to me, I know you're exhausted. It's hard. I did it with my wife, but your husband appreciates you and he loves you very much. Like he was like just reinforcing
Right?
me from being tired, right? It
Right?
takes a lot out of you. But that's a crazy story.
It's not a crazy story. We're going to reframe that and we're not going to say it's crazy anymore. I had a really amazing experience.
I did, but
You had an amazing, it
a lot of
doesn't
people
matter.
don't
No
believe
one,
you.
doesn't matter.
I
We
know.
are no longer concerned with anybody else's
I like that.
opinion about anything that we're doing. Queen, we have our eyes on the prize.
I got you.
And the only thing that is keeping us from what we're becoming is our obsession with what is. And anybody else's opinion, if they're for us, hooray. If they're not for us, who cares? It's I'm
If
for
they're not
me.
for us, they're not for
I'm for
me.
me. I'm for me. You're for you. I'm for you also. But
I like that.
we are just not, and it doesn't matter. Oh, well, I work in an industry that I really have to pay attention to. No, you don't. I don't care if you are the chief of staff to the president of the United States. If you are, God bless you. But you still you get to have your eye on the prize and your relationship with yourself, your alignment with yourself, knowing, having certainty and having clarity of what is in your purview, what is on your to-do list for the day that's getting you to the woman that you're becoming. That is all that matters. And I am telling you with certainty, everything that you need, all the cooperative components that you need for this trajectory to keep going are all available for you
Yeah.
and will come in the form of man that disappears in hospital cafeteria. It comes in the form of the beautiful
Inspiration. Yeah.
conversations that I get to have. I was just this morning texting with a neighbor about, I mean, this is so random. That's why I love it. About switching from our oil boiler system because I need a new boiler and they're like $20,000.
Oh,
And
sorry.
it's
So
like,
expensive.
wow, okay, cool. Maybe this is a time to look at geothermal. So, and I've only heard those words. That's about the extent of my knowledge. So I start looking it up and then I messaged my neighbor. My house was built in
Oh,
1785. So
wow.
you have to, we
Yeah,
have
no, I grew up in one from the
we have
1800s.
a a small group, a texting group of it's called the old house friends. And so and their houses are older than mine. So we share contractors and all of those things. So I reached out to a neighbor and asked, did you do this? Did you switch? And he said, not yet, but this other guy did. So I reached out to him. But in the meantime, I was doing some research and saw that there were some articles by this company, Dandelion
Right.
Geothermal. So I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, well, I'll look at that later. But I was just reading, oh yes, you this is what you do to replace it. So I put my phone down and my daughter came downstairs. I finished her breakfast. We're drive to school. I'm on my way back home and I'm on the highway and I pass this truck. No joke. Dandelion
Dandelion.
geothermal. Like, what is
That's your
happening?
message from the universe.
Totally. And I loved it. And I just started giggling and being so filled with appreciation and gratitude because I actually don't have to figure all of this out. All of the cooperative components are here for me if I am paying attention and I am
Love it.
fostering this relationship between me and me, the divine that is in me,
Yeah.
is using my eyeballs to see something. I mean, imagine a dandelion and like the logo's on a white truck. It's really poor marketing because you got to be right next to it to
Yeah, you
find out
can't
what it
see it.
says. But
You
oh
can.
my gosh, it's just so beautiful. So I think we can discount those experiences or try to make the listener of our experience be more at ease by us calling it out. Oh, that's a crazy story, or you're not going to believe this, or what. But
Yeah, I
No,
see what you're
you know,
saying.
like I think we
Right.
get to, and I'm not trying to scold you. I'm just
No,
saying,
no, no.
like
I know what
we
you're
get
saying.
to celebrate and make a giant deal out of the universe showing up on our behalf
Girl.
in really quick order because I had no resistance around that. So it came really quickly, which reminds me, if I will get out of my own way about the other things I want to do, but I keep stirring up how they're not happening yet. If I get out of my own way, again, my obsession with what is the only thing that's keeping me from what's coming.
Right.
That
So,
it
I mean,
it will come in as easily as changing lanes on the highway.
girl, I wrote about this in my book. I have
Tell
a
me
full
more.
chapter. I have a full chapter about if you're asking for signs, you need to open your eyes and be ready to find them. Because we're all wrapped up in our life that when you say, "Oh God, can you just do this? Can you?" I'd ask my husband, "Can you send me a sign? Am I doing the right thing? Am I bidding the right jobs? Am I bidding it right? Send me a sign." I open the door, there's a white feather on the mat,
Love it.
right? I
Right.
mean,
And they're like, well, maybe
he was
that was a
sending me feathers that
bird.
were so big I could have signed the Declaration of Independence.
I love
I had
it.
this feather this big on my thing. He would send me feathers and coins. And my husband died on 11/11, very spiritual
Oh,
day.
wow. Yeah.
So everything's 11s for me. So he'll send me a dime and a penny all the time.
Oh my gosh. I
I,
love that.
I found a dime and a penny under my bed in the middle of the carpet. So you can discount it. I don't discount it when people, when I
Nope.
say crazy story, I mean crazy story that it happened. I believe
Crazy
it.
fabulous.
Whether you want to believe it, that's up to you. But
Again, who cares?
I write about signs in my book and how when you're going in deep and you're trying to rebuild your life and you're trying to figure out why things happened in your life and what's the purpose of life and what you're trying to accomplish and keeping your eye on the prize and being honest with yourself and where you really want to be, you know, you have to be open to be receiving those answers.
Right. Asking for
Otherwise,
the things and then letting yourself
right, you have to
be
be open to
available
it.
for it.
Right.
Yes.
So
And not,
it happens a
not,
lot to me.
I love that. And
Lots.
I love that you are celebrating those moments. And I get that you don't know who's on the other side of what you're saying, but
Okay.
I'm so
Right
unattached
here.
to what anybody else thinks about anything that I'm
Yeah.
doing.
I have my
And
eye on the prize every day. I
mhm,
wake up, I swing my feet over the side of the bed and I go, let's go.
right?
Keep your eye on the prize.
Yep.
So I'm grateful. That's the first thing I am grateful for the day, grateful for the opportunities. And I think, if your listeners, if anything they can learn is you get back what you put out in this world. And I can tell you it's true. Karma is real. It's in my book. It's the name of my book, Kicking Karma's Ass. It's the laws of the universe. Life is a little bit deeper than we all realize. And we're all here for a very, very short period of time. So we need to take advantage of our time here. We need to celebrate while we're here. And even the negative, you have to turn it into a positive. There's a reason why things are happening for you, not to you. So I can go on and on and on. I could have stayed in bed for 3 years and cried, but I didn't.
Right.
The only way to get out of it is to go through it head on. You got to face life. You got to get out of bed and you have to figure out how you're going to survive like I tell everybody, look, I'm 60 now. I'm just trying to squeeze out a little bit of happiness for all the bad,
Oh,
for
let's
all the,
reframe that too.
well, a little bit of, let me finish. A little bit of happiness while I'm finishing up here to make up for some of the bumps in the road. So, because some people will judge you. Trust me.
I don't care.
He's cold, this, that, you
Whatever.
know. I'm living my life. Nobody else is living my life.
Right.
So I fulfilled my vows. I am a Catholic. I was married in a church, whether that's your religion or not. But I took care of my husband. I took off 2 years. I went broke. But I fulfilled my vows till death do you part. And now I'm rebuilding my life and trying to finish up here by leaving a legacy. And I'm adamant that I also help people that need my help, want to know about my wisdom. I wish I had somebody like me when I was younger.
Yeah.
Really had nobody to turn to in construction, especially. I always say I didn't even get an email from a woman, especially in the industry. But I survived. I have a grit. You got to grind it out. You got to keep going. Don't take no for an answer. Just keep going. I mean, like the story about the bid I lost. If I was emotional, angry, I would never bid with that guy again, right?
Right.
I wouldn't have taken his call, but I let it go. It was meant to be. I wasn't supposed to get that contract for that dollar amount, for that specific time. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. But I circled back. I kept bidding with him. And he said, I like your tenacity. So these are all characteristics that developers and general contractors and people who hire you, they look for that. They
Sure.
look for somebody who's going to keep grinding. They look for somebody who doesn't take no for an answer. They look for somebody who wants to do the right thing. So then they know when they hire you, they're in good hands. So,
Right.
right? Because you're
Yes.
still going. So you're still chugging along. So life is cool, right?
It is, absolutely. I
Yeah.
just want love for you to not eke out a little bit of happiness. I want you to
A
have as
lot of happiness.
much happiness as your heart can handle every day and
Yeah, we deserve it.
right, and just build that muscle.
I agree.
Receiving is our birthright. And it is it can be an underused muscle.
I agree. And I always say that too. I think a large problem in our society in general is lack of confidence and lack of knowing that you deserve it.
Yeah.
People
Worth.
a lot of people have been through a lot in their life. They've been pushed down, you know, told they weren't good enough, whatever their situation was. But everyone needs to stand up and do the right thing, make this world a better place, know that you deserve it, know that you can do it. Confidence is highly underrated.
And
Highly.
it comes on the other side of courage.
It does. It absolutely does. So, but look, I always say children are a product of their environment. If they grow up with anger, they're going to be angry. If they grow up with criticism, they're going to criticize. So that's my take on it. So it's hard to get out of the situation that you've been molded around. It's very hard when you become an adult to change your ways because you don't know any differently.
Mhm.
So it's hard. But, I'm here to say, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm just a girl in New Jersey, right? I went to school to be an accountant and I own a construction company. So I did a 180. So,
Yes, you did. So tell us about the book and tell
okay.
us about what's next.
Okay, so my book is called Kicking Karma's Ass. It's a memoir about my life story and integrated into my experiences. And I tell it with, a lot of humor. I was adamant that I didn't become too negative, too somber. There's a lot of humor in it. Like I said, I lost four people very close to me in 3 years. And when I contemplated what was going on in my life, I said, we always talked about writing a book in construction anyway. So I had notes taken, and then I said, you know what, I need to write this down because I think I can help people. You know, you don't make money from a book, so they tell you, right? You don't make money from a book, but you need a book to make money. That's the first thing my publisher told me. "Oh,
Okay.
okay, well, I really didn't think I was going to make money from it. I'm not J.K. Rowling, but
Right.
I think I have a story to tell, and I think I can show people my path through life and how you realize when you get a little bit older that everything happened in your life for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's like, preparing you, things that happened to me. And I took very, very deep steps into reflecting of my life, figuring out,
Yeah.
oh, that happened when I was 8 years old. because that prepared me for that when I was
Right?
35 years old.
Which I love what your publisher said to you because it's that process. It's
Right.
that looking back as the woman that you are now, and you have this higher view of these stories, and you can see how things came together and what used to be a frustrating story or something that you held on as this is proof of why I'm the way I am in a
Oh, yeah.
negative way. But when you reflect back as a woman in her 50s, you see how things come together, and it just expands your own perception of you, of your life, of all the other players. And then there's so much gratitude and appreciation, like you said, and lessons and all of these things.
Yeah.
But it's the practicing of using your voice and trusting your voice and having an understanding of your self-worth, like you said, that you think anyone would even want to read these stories, like that's a mental leap as well. That entire process created the woman that you are now, who of course is now this magnet for
Thank you.
these conversations, for
Yeah.
these jobs you're getting, for
Yeah.
the people that you're helping, for the younger entrepreneurs. All of that practice allowed you to step into your power in a way that may have taken many more years had you not said yes to yourself and written this book at the time that you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was very well received. And when it
Yeah.
was released in December of 23, I think it was. Yeah, December
Amazing.
23. It went #1 internationally. People were
Amazing.
people were buying it. I mean, now it's sifted down. We all know Amazon releases 10, 15,000 books a day, self-publishing world now. But I didn't even think about making money off of it. I really didn't. I said, I got to get this story out there. I have to tell. It was inbred. I had a dream. My husband was in my dream clear as day, and he said, write the damn book. And then my
Awesome.
sister had a dream, and she goes, your husband was in, we call her the family witch, right? Because
Sure.
she's very spiritual. Not that she's a bad person, but she said, yeah, your husband was in my dream the other night, and he said to write the damn book. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my
I need to write a
gosh.
book, right? So it was like he came to me, came to her. So I just started writing, and I always tell the story how I had a lot of notes, but I hired a publisher. She kind of helped me organize my thoughts
Yeah.
so it flows. And we did it in 4.5 months.
Oh, it's
So it
beautiful.
was effortless. And I truly
Yes.
believe when things are that effortless, and a lot of that stuff in that book I wrote myself. I would
Hmm.
sit and have coffee and just write and
Yeah.
write. And one of my favorite parts of the book is the thank you. If anybody, I forget what page, I think it's 62. I wrote 2 pages of thank yous to people that crossed my
Mm.
life and my path. Thank you to the people that weren't nice to me, right?
Yeah.
It taught me how to keep my integrity.
Yeah.
The corporate guy wanted me to be his side piece. And I said, no, I lost millions of dollars in contracts, but
Yeah.
I kept my integrity intact.
Yeah.
So it's a good section of the book, especially for anybody who's rebuilding their life, that you can read all my thank yous on all the people that I thank that I came across in my life and what they taught me.
Mm.
So it's a really good section of the book. But look, it's my story. Some people like certain parts, some people like other parts. It goes all the way from going to Catholic school to case law that, stuff happens to me. I don't know why. I think it happens to me for a purpose.
Yep.
Like, it's almost like, oh, let's give it to Pat Miller. She'll figure it out, right? Let's give her case law. Let's have her change case law in New Jersey. Let's sue her for
Amazing.
wrongful death. But I changed the law in New Jersey. So there's a purpose for everything that comes across your path, and you just got to stick with it and figure it out and know that life is a gift, right? Life is a gift, and you're given this life for you to open your eyes and figure out the purpose of what's happening to you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And the prize is if you can take those negatives and turn it into a positive and help others, it's a really, really good feeling. It really is. because I get a lot of nice messages from people who have read my book, who follow me on social, thanking me, whether it was cancer treatment or dealing with insurance or whatever, it's all in there. Catholic school, being abused, it's all me. It's all what makes me as a person, you know? And even the jerks in your life have a purpose, right?
Yes,
I
they
tell the
do.
story about the guy who called me. My husband said, you got to get back to work when he was dying on hospice. And because I wasn't working for 2 years and we bid that job in the hospital. I got it, took it. Well, I always tell this story, took it for like 20% less. It was just pushing paper, right? Had to get money coming in.
Hmm.
And he was not fond of me
Hmm.
because I told the GC what he was doing in the parking lot inappropriately while watching a laptop. I think we can all figure it out. So it wasn't appropriate. He's lucky I didn't call the police, but he had an axe to grind. So he called me when my husband was dying and he told me, if you're not on site by next Thursday, I'm going to pull your contract. Not a nice person.
Mm-mm.
But that man, my husband, I swear he heard this conversation. He died the next day. I waked him on Tuesday, buried him on Wednesday. I had until Thursday,
Mm.
or I was going to lose the only contract I had, all
Right.
the money that I had. So he, in some whipped up way, made me get out of bed and face life and get on with my life. So even the jerks have a purpose, right?
Right. Right. Because it's what you did with the situation.
Right. You have to react to the situation. I read a little meme the other day about that. Stress is only the way you react to the situations in your life on a daily basis.
Yeah. My dad would always say, let's take a breath because we don't want to react. Let's respond.
Right. And I run my company like that.
Mhm.
I always tell them I like to be proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
I like to know what we're facing and give you a heads up. You might want to do it this way because if not, we're going to have a problem down the road here. So then it's going to cost you more money if you
Right.
start doing things out of order. And then when you start putting finishes in, you're going to start destroying stuff that you should have did after, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you use everything in your life. All your experiences are utilized. They're your experiences for a reason.
Yes.
So
Oh,
that's
I
my
love it. I
story.
have loved this conversation. Thank you so much, Pat. Please tell
Yeah,
everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can
sure.
get the book.
Sure. Well, my book is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It's kicking karma's ass. I have my own website. It's called patmiller.net. I have a communications girls that take care of all that. They usually put all my links in there. They post what I'm doing. And then of course my business, it's Blue Diamond Construction NJ, like New Jersey.com. You can go on there and see what I'm building and see
Awesome.
that I'm actually building large projects in New Jersey. So some people laugh. They're like, wow, I didn't think you did that. I said, oh, you thought I was a cutesy little kitchen remodeler, right? I'm building
No
apartment
shade,
comp, no
no
shame in that,
shade
but
on the kitchen
it,
remodelers
not,
because
no
I need one
shame,
of
but they
those.
shouldn't be judging either. Because
No
when I
one's
tell them
judging.
I'm a contractor, oh, that's cute. What are you doing? A bathroom, kitchen? I'm like, no, 117 unit apartment complex. They're like,
Right.
whoa. But
Exactly.
anyway, and then I'm on all the socials, the Pat Miller 11, very special number
Of
to me.
course.
Yes, and I'm on LinkedIn under Patricia Pat Miller on LinkedIn. So you can,
Perfect. We will
yeah,
link everything down in the show
thank
notes.
you.
Thank you so much, Pat.
Hopefully.
This has been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for having me.